This is Sybert signing into Red Alert 3 on the map Industrial Strength. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the February 2021 Ladder Wars Finals. This is a best of 7 between the Cyan Allied player in the bottom left side, Mates Vindies, and our yellow Empire player in the top right side. Give a cheer, you know him, it's Dimon! Dimon versus Vindies. And yes, this is from February, and yes, it is the end of May as I'm casting this. Hopefully the end of May as this goes up. But that is how things happen sometimes. These replays came recommended, this series came recommended from a number of people since they have been played, so I have been meaning to get to them, basically since, I guess, early March or something, and I've just now gotten around to it. But hey, it's Vindies, it's Dimon, it's a best of 7, you can't ask for much more than that. Yeah, Dimon is playing Empire, we would all love to see him bust out his famous Soviets, but he's got himself a couple of oil derricks right there, grabs the second one. And actually, I think the last time we saw Dimon on Industrial Strength, he made a bit of a boo-boo. He way overspent himself, like, into a corner, and he had some trouble, so we'll have to see how this turns out. It is going to be a cryocopter rush right out of the gate from Vindies. Dimon is going to try desperately to get this power generator online, but it's a little bit too late as this Defender VX core comes online, switches into anti-air mode. No, it doesn't get any damage out. The Vindicator coming in. The first bomb will be dropping just as this second third Defender VX core finishes up, barely out of range to protect that Harvester. And now, of course, Vindies has to make a choice about, is he going for the Harvester kill or is he going for the Defender VX kill first? The Apollo is going to be going down if it sticks around for too much longer. Barely does get eliminated by that anti-air turret, and double VX going down, so this Vindicator can't stop everything. Dimon has managed to pull this out. He's pressuring in the south at the bottom of the map. He's going to try and push in through the walls of Vindies, and of course, on Industrial Strength, you see these walls come up so much. 4 players going for that fast airfield kind of action. Getting 2 Harvesters is amazing for Vindies, and he does manage to escape with that cryocopter as well, so that attack going quite well. Yeah, the double Defender VX core means that this area is pretty safe for the time being, but killing off 2 Harvesters is a great start for Dimon, or for Vindies, but Dimon on the other side losing, or taking down a Vindicator with, I'm guessing, just the Imperial Warriors. I don't know, maybe there was a tank buster mixed into this army once they busted through the walls, but that is going to be the end of that attack for the current moment. 2 Vindicators do survive, 1 getting eliminated there and forcing the MCV to pack up. And I guess it's not terribly disruptive since both ore collectors are already out. And of course, this MCV is most likely heading over to a 3rd refinery location. But keeping these Vindicators on Vindies' side of the map is definitely a good thing for Dimon to do. There's the unpack of the MCV, the airfield down to about half health, but now both players are going to try and stabilize and get to where they want to go. Dimon severely delaying that mecha bay, but having both... that sucks. Having both of those oil derricks is quite nice. And of course, that Defender core is just slightly out of range. And this cryocopter may actually be going down. It trades its life. And on top of that, this Harvester is most likely going to be unfrozen by the time the Vindicator is back. And that was a little bit of a mistake from Vindies. Vindies, a phenomenal player from years ago, recently coming back and showing some good games. But does he have what it takes to stand up against Dimon? I know Vindies used to play, like, on a laptop from 1941 and with, like, a mouse that was also from 1941, and so I think you had to, like, write out on instructions on a piece of paper and then punch card it into your laptop, and that's how the mouse actually worked. Hopefully his desktop, or his setup is a little bit more upgraded from that, but maybe not. Cleaning up 1 power plant, taking him into low power mode as Vindies strikes out against Dimon, taking all of those power plants, or taking all of those Defender VX cores offline as the first couple of Tengus pop on out. Of course, Apollos are already in the sky. The second airfield is up and running, and I assume it's going to be at least a couple more Apollos pumping out to deal with those Tengus. Oh, I do like this on the way left side of the map, a sneaky Tengu going for a harass, keeping that around just as an open threat. So once the Vindicators leave, head in there and go for the attack on the Harvester. If you can get a guaranteed kill on a Harvester in that case, that would be absolutely great for Dimon and a good little distraction tactic as well. Refinery heading out. It is barely going to get there before the Vindicators do, and of course, as long as it deploys, it will have enough health to survive 3 Vindicators dropping bombs on it. But as the core, those Vindicators would absolutely slaughter that. Dimon has had a very rough start, but he's starting to stabilize. He's starting to get back up and running. Vindies even going to be healing up those wall segments. Not something you see very often, but he doesn't want those Tengus to be able to escape from the walls once they drop down inside. He wants them to be stuck inside of those walls where they can't get the Harvester. So he wants to keep the Harvester alive, and repairing those walls is how he's going to do that. Apollo's trying to chase down those Tengus, but of course the Tengus, they've got a little pocket of defenses that they can retreat to. Curiously, another barracks possibly to recapture this oil derrick here on the south side of the island. But we'll have to see if Dimon is actually able to successfully capture that. 4th refinery up and running for Vindies. Number 5 could be on the way very soon. Oil derrick in the north gets cleaned up by Vindies also, so he's both expanding and attacking a little bit there. Oil derrick's almost always going to be a safe target in that kind of a situation. And, well, actually, no, he deploys that dojo inside of his main base there. Nice use of that, of those point defense drones. Vindies, I think, trying to splash down the point defense drones, but it didn't quite work out. If the point defense drones get deployed, I think after the unit gets frozen, I believe the point defense drones just completely absorb. And I'm not sure if you have the point defense drones before the unit is frozen, if they also freeze, and then if the point defense drones absorb one shot, or what exactly the math is on frozen point defense drones. One Harvester not quite going to go down as the Vindicators able to clean up that Yari mini-sub, but also keeping the Vindicators, again, on Vindies' side of the map is almost always worth it. So much of what Vindies is going to be trying to do for this stage of the game relies on keeping Dimon curbed using those cryocopters, and usually a part of that is the Vindicators. So if those Vindicators are tied up constantly trying to defend Harvesters here and there, then they're not out on the map. They're not doing things like, well, they wouldn't be able to do anything against these Chopper VXs anyways, because they're going to absolutely slaughter that assault destroyer. Anti-armor assault destroyer is what I was going to say for some reason, but they're absolutely going to slaughter that assault destroyer. In the middle of the map, Vindies does grab the garage, and Dimon doesn't quite finish it off. Definitely a mistake there. Did not just clean that up completely. I mean, you might as well. You're right there. You got it 98% of the way. Just finish it off real quick. Apollos showing up, and the Apollos are going to get trapped. 1 goes down, 2 are pretty low on health, but they do manage to escape for now. This is just a bunch of Chopper VXs on the ground, a couple of Javelin Troopers potentially swinging in from the back to try and trap these Chopper VXs, and he's going to go for a little bit of a bait. 1 Chopper VX in the air, 3 on the ground with a couple of Tengus ready to potentially transform if the Apollos do show up to defend this area. 1 power plant eliminated, and a 2nd power plant maybe going down as well, sending Vindies into a low power mode and a weakened production cycle. 1 Javelin Trooper goes down, a 2nd one gets eliminated as the 2nd power plant gets destroyed as well. 1 Harvester eliminated, a 2nd one under threat as this airfield is now going to be getting picked apart. Dimon, from a very shaky start, has just absolutely taken control of this game and is forcing Vindies to play defensively and to play his game. Vindies is not getting to play the cryocopter allied style that he wants to play. Now, he is going to strike out against these base defenses, against this MCV, with a Javelin Trooper and Assault Destroyer, and that can do a lot of damage, We'll have to see exactly what Dimon chooses to do in terms of defense. Dimon continuing to shred the original main base of Vindies. Of course, most of Vindies has moved out onto the water, and an aircraft carrier is even here, completely surrounded by Yari mini-subs, gets cleaned up. Goodbye, aircraft carrier, but the EMP is good, allowing this assault destroyer to do even more damage with this javelin trooper, and this is a small but mighty attack force. And it's going to be up to Dimon to pull something out, but he's choosing to just keep the pressure on. He's not returning home. He's not going to try and defend. He's just going to try and make this work. That black hole armor keeping this javelin trooper alive, and what a great show by Vindies to pull something out with literally 2 units and careful control. Of course, the black hole armor in this case doing all of the work, but his control of that assault destroyer moments ago was the thing that he got. Goodbye, javelin trooper, as that Imperial warrior gets the slice, gets the dice, and now out on the water, Yari mini-subs doing battle with assault destroyers, keeping them from reinforcing that attack group that's in the main base of Dimon, and that is a fully heroic Chopper VX, 2 fully heroic Chopper VXs that will make short work of this assault destroyer and potentially anything else out on the water. I'm not sure how many hydrofoils still remain. There was one running around the map earlier. Goodbye, assault destroyer. Goodbye, javelin trooper. Goodbye, peacekeeper. Even with your shield up, you cannot stop the infinite rockets of the Imperial Army. Let's take a quick round to figure out where we are. Dimon is hurting bad. He's got 1 refinery there, 1 refinery working, no oil derricks. The only oil derrick is held by Vindies, who's also got the 2 refineries out on the land. He's lost both of his airfields, but he's got a 3rd one, so he does have some kind of aircraft support. I'm not sure how much it's really going to be doing, but of course, Chopper VXs over the water can't land, so a couple of Apollos would be able to absolutely devastate them. 1 power plant way out in the open is going to get taken down by Dimon. Vindies won't be able to save that. If he tries to engage this assault destroyer, that's going to be a little bit of a loss for Dimon. He may just do it sort of accidentally, not realizing that that's what he's doing. Another aircraft carrier strikes out to kill Dimon, but it's not quite going to work out as 3 Yari mini-subs are completely unchecked in their attacks of that aircraft carrier, but the refinery goes down. That's the damage that Vindies was looking to do. No, this assault destroyer shows up at the last moment, and this Yari mini-sub may have to sacrifice itself to get the kill. No, the stop micro is good enough, and is he going to suicide himself and just go for the kill that way? I don't think that's absorbed by the black hole armor, and just barely this aircraft carrier almost losing the black hole armor range, but these VXs are going to be here to end the assault destroyer. Goodbye, assault destroyer. 2nd assault destroyer isn't enough. The black hole armor is too late. Vindies losing his aircraft carrier, losing his assault destroyer, so much cash down the drain, and the value was not gained, but killing that 2nd refinery may have been enough of a win to get Vindies the extra time that he needs to rebuild. Dimon doesn't have a lot, Vindies doesn't have a lot, but killing that refinery, well, maybe that was enough of a delay to Dimon's next attack that Vindies can try and get back on his feet, already getting one of his land ore refineries back up and running. The 2nd one, not quite yet. Actually, this 3rd base over here near the water getting up and running as well. And here's another little poke in. There's the Apollos. There's the land of the Chopper VXs and the anti-air missiles crashing into that assault destroyer, but you can't stop the Yari mini-sub and the Chopper VXs at the same time. Actually, I guess you can now that he's got a hydrofoil here, and the Yari mini-sub is just going to try and rotate around and do bits of damage to that hydrofoil. He's going to try and micro around this Yari mini-sub to break the weapon jamming lock that Vindies has. A fully heroic javelin trooper going to push away those Chopper VXs, but a tank buster surprise is going to try and put an end to that. And 1 javelin trooper in a building versus 4 tank busters outside of the building, and I guess those 4 tank busters are going to win out the day, even though that is a fully heroic javelin trooper. What a weird game this has turned into as Dimon is going to try and get that refinery up and running. It has been a difficult road to try and get to this place. It's unfortunate for Vindies that he's not actually manually targeting that tank that javelin trooper to kill those Chopper VXs. EMP missile, will it actually hit the Chopper VXs? It's going to miss as they fly away safe and sound. No problems for them. They did just transform. One Vindicator heading out. Cryo Blast should be firing off, I assume. Oh, no, it's going to be on Cryogeddon directly on top of the Mecha Bay. He's going to go for the maximum damage. As the Vindicator gets cleaned up, the Tengu sacrifice themselves, and wow, in a move to just pull something out of nothing, Dimon say, oh, Vindies, you lost. Vindies is trying to do the Apollo thing, and he's going to get it. He's going to get it. What a killer move by Vindies, sacrificing his own Apollos and playing the RNG game, rolling those dice to try and get the death animation that leaves enough of the chassis of the Apollo to do damage to the building below it. We've seen that a handful of times in the game's history, and a couple of times has it been the deciding moment in a match, and that may be the deciding moment in this match. Does Dimon have the time to get up another Mecha Bay, or can he produce what he needs out of just his naval yard? He's got those 2 refineries cranking. He cleaned up the oil derrick at some point in the past, so no one has any oil derricks at this point. This is a great catch, a power plant late in the game that's just exposed, just forcing Vindies to spend his cash on anything but army. Vindies with 4 refineries to the just 2 of Dimon, having such a hard time breaking Dimon with his limited army. And, well, Dimon is still standing strong. Dimon may be losing a Yari mini-sub, but it looks like the aircraft carrier is going to trade its life for it. Dimon and these Chopper VXs, absolutely monstrous. 2 heroic, 1 double vent, and constant Yari mini-sub production. Those are the things that are just barely keeping Dimon in this game. The EMP locking down the aircraft carrier, trying to shut down those Yari mini-subs, but he ended up locking down his own power plant and his own aircraft carrier. A tragic story for Vindies, who feels in some ways like he's in a great position. 4 refinery versus 2 of your opponent. Your opponent only has a naval yard. You've been having that naval yard for a long time. Tier 3 versus Tier 2. I guess the airfield ended up going down, but he did have an airfield and a naval yard for a while. But things are just... oh no, there's the airfield down there. He does still have it, so he's got that double production opportunity. He's got the ability to potentially make those cryocopters as well, but it's just not quite working out. Vindies cannot just seal the deal on this. He loses another harvester, and he's going to lose this refinery and this harvester out here on land. He did, I believe, just rebuild this harvester, so he spent $1,000. I don't know that he got that kind of value out of it, and this one Vindicator can't quite clean up all 5 of these tank busters and this Tengu, so that refinery location will be killed no matter what. It goes down right there. Couple of Javelin Troopers. This is a great move by Vindies. He's going to try and take down this structure, but the Imperial Warriors are just going to clear out that building. And every Empire player, every day of the week, will trade their 150 Imperial Warriors for Javelin Troopers and Peacekeepers in a building like this. This is a no-brainer for Dimon to clean up that building, to kill all of those guys, and to deny that attack from doing any more damage. I definitely get why this series was recommended. I mean, hey, if this is game number 1, the rest of the games could be pretty terrible, and this would still be a good series no matter what. Cryogeddon going to be coming in. The ore refinery is going to be going down. I don't think there's anything here nearby from Dimon to save this. He gets the kill, and Vindies can skate away from this location relatively safely. He's going to go out over the water. Does he have hydrofoils here to support this Vindicator? He loses the double vet Vindicator. I thought that guy would make it to the water, but no, he did not. That fully heroic Jet Tengu absolutely slapped him down. But the fully heroic Jet Tengu is not much match for triple Apollo. That is a tough thing to stand against, is those triple Apollos. And whoa, an Athena cannon coming out of somewhere. A War Factory up and running as a Mirage tank and an Athena cannon from Vindies. This may be the thing that he needed. He's been ahead on eco for so long. Dimon getting a water expansion at some point. But how long has he actually had that? Not that long, about $3,000 worth of harvesting that he's gotten out of that. But I think Vindies has played defensively long enough that he may be able to pull something out. No, the Athena Cannon goes down. Can he clean up the IFV and the Mirage tank as well? The Apollo's going to show up, and they absolutely clear the sky. And no! The Cryocopter, not the Cryocopter, the Chopper VX crashes down on the Mirage tank, and Vindies' own damage output destroys his ground army with his Apollos trying to save the day, and it turns against him. The Hydrofoil could be the next target of these Yari mini-subs. 3 Yari mini-subs still firing actively at this Hydrofoil, and they clean it up. Going for any kind of infrastructure here is good. Denying more Apollos, denying more Vindicators, and that Cryo combo is always a good thing to do. And no, it won't quite work out. The Black Hole Armor is too strong. There's too many other assault destroyers here to clean up those Yari mini-subs. The refinery gets eliminated. Dimon is hurting bad, but somehow he is still keeping enough pressure on Vindies that Vindies has not been able to clean up this game, despite the fact that he has Mirage tanks, Athena cannons on land. And, well, he's got one multi-gunner IFV. He's going to try and make something happen, but now that IFV can't stand against this many tank busters, the attack once again gets shut down. At the same time, balloon bombs now going to be falling on this airfield. Goodbye, airfield. It gets sold off. These can be redirected at perhaps the ore refinery. He's not quite redirecting them. He's just going to let them fall, so that's a bit of a distraction tactic, and he doesn't even care how much damage it does. Redirected at the last second there, does some good chunk damage to that ore refinery, and once again, the Assault Destroyers called up for the defense to try and make something happen against those Yari mini-subs. The Yari mini-subs are slowly being eliminated one after another. They're getting cleaned up by Vindies, and no more Yari mini-subs have really been produced by Dimon in the last couple of minutes. These two guys just absolutely going ham in this game, not wanting to stop, and neither one of them giving up prematurely. Dimon on the edge of victory, it seemed like a couple of times. Vindies on the edge of victory, it seemed like a couple of times. And now Dimon has actually got serious value out of that ore refinery way out there on the water. But Sentry Bombers, when did these show up? Vindies coming out with the ultimate allied air force, going to be able to clean up this refinery. And there you go. It's gone. It is done and dusted. Dimon once again down to that 3 refinery economy, having rebuilt his refinery in his main base. That guy only having 7 grand left in the tank. It's been a long time coming, cleaning up the ore inside of that ore mine, but eventually it may be depleted. Still 31,000 credits in the main base of Vindies. Dimon trying to close the distance with his infantry on this Athena cannon. It's going to be armies of infantry versus each other as the Aegis shield pops off there. And once again, the careful control of Dimon keeps his cryocopters, his Chopper VXs alive. He's going to step forward. He doesn't quite get the kill on those Apollos. Man, so many Apollos surviving with just a bit of health left. And it's just not quite working out, but an Assault Destroyer showing up in the north to deal with these Yari mini-subs, to deal with these refineries. And Vindies is looking to strike some critical damage to the infrastructure, to the economy of Dimon. He's tried several times before, but it hasn't quite worked out. That's a deceptive pile of rocks and a deceptive tree. As these Athena cannons pick off unit after unit for free at a distance, the Sentry Bombers make another run, and Vindies is trying desperately to sew this one up once and for all, but his Assault Destroyer on the water gets cleaned up. The Yari mini-subs being the heroes out there. And somehow, someway, Dimon is still in this game. Vindies, with the better economy for most of the match, has not been able to close it out with double airfield, with Tier 3. He has not been able to finish this one up. Dimon has been too resilient, too all over the place, and a little bit too chaotic for Vindies. Calling in Final Squadron and balloon bombs to buy himself some more time. A good delay tactic by Dimon. He's going to force Vindies to reroute his units a little bit here. Otherwise, he would have just lost them. And this may actually give him an opportunity to jump on the Javelin Trooper, jump on the Athena cannons as well. The Aegis Shield pops, trying to keep these Peacekeepers and the Javelin Troopers alive, but there isn't anything else here for the defense. He would need something like some IFVs or some Apollos to show up just in time to save one Athena cannon, but not save one Apollo as the infantry starts to chew through the ground forces of Dimon. An aircraft carrier out on the water, then EMP. Will it be key? Will it be critical? As one refinery gets cleaned up, the Sentry Bombers making another successful run against the forces of Dimon. The infantry starting to be cleaned up. Vindies doesn't have much strength left on the land. This fight might be won entirely on the water and in the air by the forces of Vindies. The EMP, it doesn't land. The ground army once again cleaned up. This time a repair IFV packed along for the ride. More Yari mini-subs on the south side going to try and do some kind of damage. And oh no, a proton collider. This better not be the hubris that leads to Vindies' downfall, but he is feeling confident enough to go for a proton collider. Sentry Bombers on the left side. One gets cleaned up. The second one gets eliminated. Goodbye, Sentry Bombers. Wow, they go down so quickly to those Tangoos. The Tangoos absolutely shredded those Sentry Bombers. And the 4 Tangoos do transform to escape the wrath of the Apollos, to not die to them just for no reason. And Dimon is still in this match. He has been just about anywhere and everywhere on this map, and he cannot break Vindies, and Vindies cannot break him. Final squadron going to be coming in. Are they really going for the... I guess they are going for the Proton Collider. That Proton Collider is a little bit funky. The platform for the water is, like, missized. That's kind of weird. I never noticed that before. I don't know if that's a 1.12.6 thing, or if that's how it's always been, and it's just weird. I don't know. Yari Minisub out here on the north side of Vindies' base gets cleaned up. 1, 2 more Yari Minisubs coming in on the right side. Dimon, he's gonna, I don't know, try and make something happen with that extremely limited unit composition. Tier 1, Tier 2, baby, all day. What is this? This IFV with Tanya inside, jumps inside of the refinery. Can she do any more damage? Jumps inside of the Mecha Bay, and can he do it? The Time Warp backwards, gets the kill on a Harvester before going down. The Mecha Bay, the refinery getting eliminated. The shrunk down IFV Tanya combo. Vindies pulls it out to go for the win. It doesn't go as well as he was hoping. Maybe if he had got Tanya out to those water expansions and then come back around from like a different angle, but that would have taken so much longer. Balloon bombs coming in for Dimon. That reset on the balloon bombs is pretty darn quick, all things considered. I guess Vindies has been on that low eco depleted refinery kind of mode for a little while. Finally loses one refinery, unfortunately for Dimon. Dimon kills the refinery, which has the depleted ore mine. I mean, this one doesn't have a whole lot of cash left in it, but it's still bringing that 312 instead of that 75 every single load. Depleted ore mines, not quite all over the map. Dimon has actually had full cash ore mines for the entirety of this game. Vindies has also had full cash ore mines for most of this game, but 2 of them that were just active, now depleted. Looks like one more expansion is going to be attempted by Vindies. Dimon is going to see this right away. He catches it. A full load of ore going to be going to the dust. Gets eliminated there. Although that might have been the harvester from this refinery, so it would have just been a depleted load of ore. Hence the quarter marker there. Multi-gunner turret going to try and push away those Tangoos. Goodbye, Tangoos, for now. Well, you got to rebuild power plants sometimes, I guess, when you've completely shifted your entire base. 2 minutes left on the Proton Collider. 1 minute and a quarter left on that Chronosphere. Vindies unable to break Dimon. There's going to be the scouting scanner sweep as Vindies is looking to do something there. Final Squadron gets called in on that ore refinery. Vindies rebuilding his depleted ore refinery and sending out an Athena cannon and an engineer to defeat the forces of Dimon. I'm guessing this engineer is going to hop inside of one of those IFVs to provide mobile repairs. We'll have to see what actually happens with that engineer. Could be cryocopter. Yeah, it could be a shrink ray for an MCV cap. That would be pretty sick. It probably won't work, but actually this would be the perfect time. The Tengus might be just in the wrong position to allow that to happen. It's a big line of tank busters. They're going to be standing strong. And it's going to be Tengus versus like 2 Apollos. Yeah, this is not going to go well for Vindies if he thinks this is really going to work out. Engineer hops on out of that IFV, but the attack has been pushed back for now. Vindies realizes that that is not going to be a success story as the the Chronosphere is finally ready to go. What is he going to do with it? He could try and grab the Chopper VXs, the Strikers, and put them out on the water. That would definitely be something that could work. I don't know if he has vision of that area. Balloon bombs getting called in on the Proton Collider once again. The Tengus go into the air. They are going to be safe up there from the Chronosphere. Can also try and Chronosphere another Tanya IFV or something, or Chronosphere your entire army. But maybe Chronosphere it like here? Try and kill the MCV, clean up the power plants. That could potentially work. Proton Collider with 20 seconds. There's the scanner sweep. He's looking for a sweet target. He's looking for some value. Yari mini-subs out there. Tengus on the south side. Chopper VXs as well in the air. Taking a little bit of heat from that multi-gunner IFV turret. I guess it's just a multi-gunner turret, not an infantry fighting vehicle. That wouldn't make any sense. Wall segments being cleaned up. Is Dimon just trying to pull Vindies' attention away? That might actually be it. One single Tengu going for the harass. Aircraft carrier going to be the response. Proton Collider and Chronosphere both ready to go. Yari mini-subs wrapping around the south side. This first game, a serious match between these two. Proton Collider, Chronosphere, pulling in all the super weapons. Is Vindies going to try and bait the Tengus into an engagement, or to bait as much of the army into an engagement, and then just Chronosphere them somewhere else on the map, maybe out onto the cliffs or something? The Proton Collider may actually be going down. The Yari mini-subs get the surround. There it goes! He doesn't quite get it off. I cannot believe he didn't fire that at something in like the last second just before it goes down. He doesn't do it. There's going to be the tank busters getting eliminated, an entire wall of tank busters. The Tengus descend just as the point defense drones evaporate, and these Athena cannons popping off the Aegis shield. It's up to this assault destroyer and the Mirage tank to try and defend the ground army. The Apollos show up. One Chopper VX transform. The second one gets onto the ground and cleans up the Apollos. But is there anything left on the ground? He's going to have to wait for the transform to cool down. One Javelin Trooper, and no, the Athena cannon picks off the Chopper VX. The Tengus are the only thing that survives, but the Yari mini-subs in the south, have they done enough? No. They've cleaned up the Chronosphere, but it already got used. They cleaned up the Proton Collider, but they didn't stop the army. The Proton Collider, the ultimate distraction tool, as Vindies is crushing through the base with the cap of the Mecha Bay. Even the Mecha Bay turning against him, as Dimon is now going to try and spin straw into gold from the rest of this game. Vindies in one fell swoop after time and time again trying and failing to break Dimon may have finally done it. The Chronosphere cleaning up the tank buster army, and the MCV retreating out onto the water where there are 2 ore mines, 25,000 credits worth of cash out there. But surely at this point, surely Vindies won't be stopped. Dimon is not giving up. There's no GG called. He's still attacking with these Yari mini-subs. He is going to try and pull something out of nothing. I mean, he's got a naval yard. Yeah, he's got 2 refineries, but wow, the range on those Athena cannons, absolutely insane, as this MCV is maybe barely going to escape, maybe not. It barely gets away out of range of those Athena cannons, calls in the final squadron to clean up the power plants, but they don't actually fall. The barracks survives, the power plant survives, everything still is alive, but except these refineries. No harvesters harvesting at them, no harvesters harvesting anywhere. Vindies completely dead on eco. He does have free repairs from this mecha base. Tsunami Tank's going to try and bait the Assault Destroyer out into the water and go for a surround away from the Mirage Tank. This is a double vet Assault Destroyer. How many Tsunami Tanks can a double vet Assault Destroyer clean up? Needs to be careful control by Dimon, by Vindies to keep their limited units alive. Point defense drones expiring as that Mirage tanks blasts through them. These Athena cannons on the edge, almost useless, but still trying to keep up the pressure with their incredible range. The naval yard stands. It will not be destroyed. The MCV redeploys in the main base. We've come full circle as the MCV circles back around to where it began. The Mirage Tank, it looks like it got jumped on by overwhelming Tsunami Tank numbers and good control by Dimon. No, there's the Mirage Tank. Too little, too late. The Assault Destroyer goes down, but the Mirage Tank holds the line. The Mirage Tank secures the position and pushes back the Tsunami Tanks once again. It's constant Tsunami Tank production. It's up to those nanobot repairs from Dimon. Nano deflectors. Oh, it is called nano deflectors. I don't know if that makes a lot of sense. I'd like to raise a complaint with the Red Alert 3 naming team from 400 years ago. Nano deflector with the little speed boost and the repair, keeping those Tsunami Tanks alive. I cannot believe Dimon is gonna try and do this. He's sending his entire army south. He's gonna go for the throat. He's gonna try and cut down all of this infrastructure and this entire base. And the crazy thing is, there's a chance this works. Is that the aircraft carrier way over here on the left side of the map? It's not gonna be there for EMPs. It's not gonna be there for defense. And these power plants are gonna get eliminated, so there may not actually be any multi-gunner turrets able to go down in defense. I guess the MCV is way the heck over there. I don't know that there's actually any build radius here for Vindies to use. Goodbye airfield, so that's gone as well. Refineries are going to be cleaned up. Naval yard is going to be cleaned up, and at the same time, Vindies cannot clean up this naval base of Dimon. He's got the aircraft carrier heading over there. He might be able to kill the MCV in just about one volley of aircraft carrier drones, but everything else gets sold off, and Dimon is going to have to now go on to land where Vindies has an opportunity and a better stronghold than he had out on the water. But finally, this entire base gets swept up. This depleted ore mine as well gets cleaned up. And one hydrofoil. Is this it? The Athena cannons aren't here to provide support. The Assault Destroyer isn't here because if he leaves, his MCV will get trashed, and that's actually the only thing that Vindies really has. No, he's got a barracks. That's a bit of a mistake by Dimon to leave that barracks there because these are the only buildings that Vindies has. Vindies is not going to leave for the defense, so this aircraft carrier is actually vulnerable. But Dimon isn't going for the kill of the aircraft carrier. He's got one Yari mini-sub on the task. He sent his Tsunami Tank away, and the hydrofoil is either not defending or has disappeared somewhere. It's way up there in the north, not defending that aircraft carrier, and Dimon has been defeated. Man, that would have been slim margins for him to come back, but at the same time, he was maybe closer than he realized. If Vindies had pulled that stuff away to defend that aircraft carrier, Dimon actually could have made that work. And look at that income difference between Vindies and Dimon for, you know, the first 25 minutes of the game. And then once Vindies' income started drying up, it literally flatlined for the last 5 minutes of the match. But it really tapered off once he got those super weapons out, as everything was pretty much depleted, and Dimon was actually able to catch up a little bit. But wow, what a match from these two guys. What a start to this best of 7 series. This is going to be a long video if they are like that. Hopefully, we get a couple of cheeses and this video isn't like 6 hours long. But if it's 6 hours of this, I would actually be okay with that. So, let's jump into game number 2, which takes us to Battle Base Beta for game number 2. In the south, as the Yellow Empire, this is Dimon. And in the north, as the Green Allies going double barracks, this is Vindies. What a killer game number 1 to start this out. Game number 2, what does it have in store for us? Well, it's going to be a triple dojo opening from Dimon. And, well, Vindies actually gets the buildings in the middle first. Of course, as soon as these Imperial Warriors get here, that's going to change a little bit. The dog is going to get a kill on one Imperial Warrior, trades his life for that. The Javelin Trooper's almost going to get the kill on this dojo, but it won't quite line up. No, actually, they will force this sell-off. Not enough production from Dimon. So Vindies being up one game in this series and starting out by controlling the middle of the map, that cost him a lot of resources in terms of Javelin Troopers and Peacekeepers. I mean, that's probably 3 or 4 grand of infantry running around in the middle of the map, plus the cost of the barracks. But, you know, he's sold off the barracks, at least one of them. He's got his oil derrick, he's got his double refinery up and running, and he controls the middle of the map, which gives him a little bit of space, a little bit of freedom. Yes, it's very annoying that Dimon managed to sneak by a barracks and plant it over here at the high ground location, but it's not the end of the world. Allied players are pretty used to dealing with those sneaky dojos being placed behind enemy lines, and they usually have some kind of solution. Okay, so in this case, the solution is I am just going to wall off, and that's my solution. Imperial Warrior gets the kill on the Javelin Trooper and the Peacekeeper, so that's a lovely little win there for Dimon, and he's also got kind of a read on exactly what Vindies is planning on doing there. Third refinery already up and running for Dimon. Vindies starting to push forward with his big infantry army. Getting a kill on the dojo and the oil derrick would definitely be nice. A little bit of guaranteed long-term damage there, as opposed to trying to push forward into the refineries, which really isn't going to go anywhere. Mecha Bay is pretty delayed, but that's to be expected given how Dimon opened and the fast third refinery that he went for. Also going to be going for the docks next to that refinery, so that is quite a heavy expansion into infrastructure, quite a costly expansion into infrastructure, as he drops all of that cash all at once. But his Mecha Bay is up. He's going to be surviving with a little bit of wall Sim City, so he's going to be blocking off the infantry that way. Always a good choice. And second airfield out on the water by Vindies. Could go ahead and sell off this guy here on land and sequester himself out onto the water, but might just keep around the land one for a moment longer. A couple of Imperial Warriors going to be getting cleaned up by this Peacekeeper inside of the building. That is not a winning solution for Dimon. But he is going to start to pick off this power plant, which is definitely a nice thing to kill if you can. Is that a Yari mini-sub? That is a Yari mini-sub on the south side of the map, coming around to clean up that expansion of Vindies, or at the very least, put on some pressure. The Tank Buster goes down, so the walls can be not reestablished because the MCV is out of range. I think the high ground is just a bit too far when the MCV is in that position on the water. So, goodbye, power plant. That's a nice kill there for Dimon. I assume that sends Vindies into low power mode, so his production is going to be slower. That Vindicator having to drop double bombs on the heroic Imperial Warrior, allowing this refinery to take even more damage. That's a curious thing. Oh, okay. So the cryocopter. I didn't see the cryocopter. I didn't register that that was a cryocopter at first. But yeah, that makes sense. Deploy the refinery there, sell it off, get a little bit of cash back. It is much better than losing the entire thing for nothing. And Dimon has actually now cleaned up a refinery, so this is not going well for Vindies. He will have a build radius up here relatively soon, And this whole take control of the middle of the map, and yeah, this one dojo snuck by, but it's usually not that big of a deal, is turning out to be a pretty big deal. This is one of those games where the Empire player is absolutely doing way more damage than like 99% of all Empire players when they sneak a dojo behind enemy lines in this kind of a way. Multi-gunner turret is going to get the drop on this Yari mini-sub. He's not going to get the... Oh my gosh, the Yari mini-sub can escape through there. That multi-gunner turret got baited, and it will look like a fool. It will have to tell everyone at the Christmas party about he got placed down in the dumbest location because the Yari mini-sub just walked on by and started attacking something else from a different angle. And the Yari mini-sub even going to be getting a little bit of a naval upgrade there, the fortified fleet upgrade, courtesy of Dimon. As this cryocopter, no, it's the Apollo out here, as a double Defender VX core gets deployed to deal with any more cryocopters out there on the water. Dimon cleans up or sells off that refinery, and the assault continues, but it has been slowed. Pulling back the cryocopter from an offensive position to a defensive one is not what you want to be doing if you're Vindies. Also, losing that Apollo basically for nothing, also not what you want. And Vindies is getting pulled in every direction and kind of slapped down in every direction. Not into low power mode. He survives with that power plant going down. Even with the refinery, no, the refinery was enough to send him into low power mode. I was like, even with the refinery getting placed, he still has enough power, which is pretty incredible. But of course he didn't, as this Yari mini-sub is going to cycle around to the other side and try and do more damage to this harvester. If he can do the damage to the harvester and get the kill, even with that airfield repairing it, that would be absolutely phenomenal. Vindies starting to stabilize, and Dimon has to know that the clock is ticking on his attempt with this dojo. Keeping Vindies on Vindies' side of the map and using this dojo push to do that is definitely nice, but it is not really a long-term solution to this game. Cryocopter does head, I think, away from the defensive position. I guess he's back now. But the Cryocopter absent for a moment there, allowing a big swell of infantry to build up and not quite break through the wall. But they are going to try and threaten this position as the Tengus and the Chopper VXs clean up the infantry here on the left side of the map. And looks like no Javelin troopers inside of that building. Not taking any pot shots at those Chopper VXs as they pass by. These Apollos, it's 5 Apollos in the sky, so that is a lot of anti-air capacity. And he's going to go straight for the wall. He breaks down one wall segment and plants the Imperial Warriors inside of it. And these Apollos are not responding very quickly at all. There's the big transform to try and catch the Apollos. One Apollo will go down. A second one gets eliminated just barely as they all try and fly away. The Tengu shows up to do battle, and they're going to try and catch the Vindicator, but they don't quite manage. There's the transform of the Tengus to try and save a couple of them, but a Vindicator gets a couple of bombs off and cleans up yet another Tengu. The Chopper VXs and the Imperial Warriors clean up the refinery, and the Apollos going down, but mostly just pushing away the Chopper VXs. And hey, that was their job. They weren't supposed to win the game. They were just supposed to push away those Chopper VXs, put them on the ground for the Cryocopter and the Vindicators to deal with. And that is exactly what they did. Another refinery coming up. This Harvester might be a little bit bugged. We'll have to see if he follows that path again. But that's always super frustrating. Nope. Okay, that's good. That's a good Harvester. That's a good refinery. Sometimes, even if your Harvester isn't fully bugged where it's not harvesting, it'll get locked in this weird path where it drives to the left or to the right a little bit, and it adds 1 or 2 seconds to every trip of every load of ore, and it's absolutely infuriating. Even though it's not necessarily a game-deciding move, it is so frustrating to have that happen. Refinery going to be going down. Harvester getting eliminated. Where's the cell by Dimon? He's going to try and save it? I don't think you can save it. Yeah, he's just going to let it go. Nothing really to be done. Yari Minisub continuing to put on pressure. The Vindicator is on the wrong side of the map, so you might as well put on pressure while you can. Cryo shot firing off on top of one of those Defender VX. cleans up one defender, and nice cycle of the cryocopters. That is exactly what you want to do, and the defender actually goes onto the Apollo, which is unfortunate. You want to put really the damage on the cryocopters if you can. The Apollos are nice if you can get the kill since they're lower health, but you really don't expect to get the kill. Goodbye, refinery. Hey, good for Dimon cleaning up yet another refinery. And these games, every single one of them, of the two so far, but both of these games, so weird, so unusual and atypical for Allies versus Empire. In some ways, we're not seeing the pure Tengu numbers. Oh my gosh, that airfield just needs like one sneeze and it will get eliminated. This assault destroyer trying to stay alive, and there's the bark of the dog. The tank busters, of course, go down into their hidey holes, and that is enough for them. Apollo's trying to clean up these Tengus, but the refinery still stands. The harvester is still alive, even though everything got frozen down. It's not destroyed, and the dog is here. The perfect combo as the chopper VXs clean up the assault destroyer and clean up the ore refinery as well. They go for the wall segments first before cleaning up the actual ore refinery, and a couple of tank busters are going to try and sneak away. They won't quite get the damage on the airfield. That dog is just a little too persistent. Goodbye, ore refinery, and unfortunately those chopper VXs can't just jump forward and get that airfield. It would have been so great if they could. There's the big transform as the chopper VXs try and find some kind of area away from the defenses of Vindies, and those Apollos do manage to escape, most of them for now, 5 of them still in the air. That is a ton of anti-air potential. The tank busters all go down. Harvesters stacking up. He's going to have more harvesters than anything in a couple of moments here. That's 2 Vindicators out on the water and 5 Apollos over the land. A couple of chopper VXs mixed into this army as well. Dimon on those 3 refineries, unable to secure long-term a 4th refinery, but he's macroed up quite an army. He's taken control of the middle of the map, and he's trying to formulate some kind of a plan to end this game and seal the deal to even the score up 1-1. Vindies is going to try and take this high ground, but I just don't know, after all of this time, if he's going to finally be able to do it. The chopper VXs are going to, and the Tengus, are they going to be able to catch anything from the airfield? They're going to go for the Vindicators. They're going to go for the Apollos. No, they just get shredded. The Tengus go down so fast. They're trying to bait the Apollos into an engagement with the chopper VXs, but it doesn't work. Although it looks like this command hub may be shut down purely by the Imperial Warriors as the mechanized army of Dimon gets absolutely destroyed. Huge numbers of Tengus going down. The chopper VX is mostly escaping unscathed. I don't think they took any damage in that last engagement, but the production is consistent now with 4 refineries up and running, claiming 1,000 credits from that ore node initially. Dimon is looking all right with the production. He's got his Tengus spamming, he's got his numbers growing, and he just lost so many to those Apollos. But, you know, one day he will have so many Tengus that he won't even care about the Apollos. Dimon, or Vindies rather, also taking a 4th refinery. He can't take the 5th on the high ground, but he can take the 4th way out here in the open. He sells off the command post, so he's not going to have that build radius anymore, and I assume this is going to be a target that Dimon wants to strike down. This is a legit dojo core. That I was so confused as to why there was a dojo core coming from that kind of an angle. I thought maybe it was a sudden transport disguised as a dojo core and it was going to try and find another angle, but no, it's a legit dojo core, and I think it got kind of misrallied. Big Tengu army, big chopper army. I guess it's not big chopper army. It's really just the 4 that he's had for a little while. He's going to try and jump on this base. He's going to try and stand up against these Apollos. It's 3 Apollos, and the Tengus are going to be able to get on them. 3 more Apollos are there for the reinforcements, and the choppers, 2 of them go down, 2 of them manage to escape, and half the health on that assault destroyer does survive. Goodbye, Cryocopter. Finally, Dimon gets a win, gets a catch, and finally, he's able to do some damage, catches an Apollo on the deck, goes for the throat, and now he's going to cut off this refinery, which has harvested most of its value out of that ore node, but he's going to try and cut down the economy of Vindies and do some sort of permanent damage if he at all can. Assault Destroyer going for the kill. Goodbye, Apollo. It gets birthed and destroyed all in one moment. 2 more Apollos coming in from the right side. Dimon not paying attention, going to be potentially losing his Chopper VXs basically for nothing. There's the response. He chases away the Apollos. And finally, the Chopper VXs can clean up the waters, clean out the seas. And these 2 Chopper VXs so low on health. The Hydrofoil forcing his hand and forcing Dimon to step away. The Tengu's going to be absorbing the damage from this multi-gunner turret. No manual targeting from Vindies to clean up this Chopper VX. No, he does. He changes target at the last second, and he just barely manages to get the kill on that Chopper VX. There's the transform of the Apollos, and the Tengus are going to finish the job. Assault Destroyer in the middle of the map with a couple of Peacekeepers trying to clear out Dimon's forces somehow, some way. Both of these games going so late into it with no one having a clear advantage that you would think. Vindies, how in the world is he going to clean this up without just bashing down Dimon and trying to do this exact thing, like take on 100 million Tengus with the Apollos? The Chopper VX goes down. The Tsunami tanks are now out on the field, and Dimon is going to try and strike right into the heart of Vindies. The Vindicator does survive, a fully heroic Vindicator with barely any health at all, but no anti-air to clean it up, and the Tsunami tanks going to be forcing that MCV out onto the water as this assault from Dimon begins. He cleans up one Harvester very easily. Out onto the water he goes. No, it's going to be the power plants instead. 2 of them easy targets for Dimon, but he's going to lose 1 Tsunami tank before the lights go out for Vindies. Finally, the power is down for Vindies, and Dimon can do some damage. Can he actually even things up, or is he going to lose too much to that tank bust, or that Javelin Trooper? The airfield goes down. The retreat is activated, and 1 Apollo. No, it's a Vindicator, that fully heroic Vindicator with no place to land except out here on the water. That fully heroic Vindicator goes down, and Dimon may finally have done it. He may finally have done enough damage to break the back of Vindies and strike him down in this match. You can't take an extra refinery if your opponent already has control of it, and you gotta hand it to Dimon, playing the 6 refinery game against the 4 of his opponent. What a match from these guys on Battle Base Beta. There's the EMP. Where's the aircraft carrier? It's somewhere. There it is, over by the MCV. Gonna try and keep things safe by that method of EMP. Of course, the command hub gets locked down as well. And there's the surround of the aircraft carrier, the hydrofoil, the multi-gunner gonna try and save it, but it's too little, too late. You can try as you might, but this is Tengu spam. This is unstoppable, and this is sheer power through numbers. That is the thing that Dimon has going for him. His eco has pretty much been better the entirety of this game. And Vindies, he controlled the middle of the map at the very start of this, and I thought that was going to allow him to set the pace and to control the flow of the game. But if anything, that constant parade push of infantry coming out from the right side of the map from Dimon allowed him to just capsize the boat that Vindies was in and take control of the game himself. Vindies hardly getting to the other side of the map to do anything. He's been playing defensively, he's been playing on the back foot, and now it's culminating with perhaps this next attack from Dimon as his, what he probably thought was going to be the final blow with these Tengus hasn't quite worked out how he hoped. The MCV did manage to escape to the high ground, and an engineer is going to jump inside of it. Full repair, back up to full health, and Vindies is going to feel good about that, but Dimon has cleaned up yet another refinery. This refinery out on the water still stands. 8 grand left before it's depleted. And at this point, I think Dimon is actually more under threat of losing those refineries and going into that depleted status than Vindies is. But of course, in this case, Dimon has 3 extra refineries that aren't anywhere near depleted status. So as these first 3 get closer and closer to being dried up, he will still have pretty good income because, hey, 3 refineries is pretty good money. All right, boys and girls, we are into this phase of the game. The Psionic Decimator has been constructed. It was the Proton Collider. It was the Chronosphere last game, but it actually is going to be the Ninoswarm Hive and the Psionic Decimator coming in for Dimon. Every once in a while, you see this kind of a move. A player is ahead, so they spend the 7.5 or 8 grand to get up their super weapons, and then instead of spending that money on army, they find themselves a little bit lacking against their opponents. 2 more Apollos given to the dogs as the Hydrofoil tries to get some value from these Tengus and clean them up one by one. But of course, those point defense drones make that more difficult. The Mirage tank goes down, the Athena goes down, and now these 2, well, it's not going to be just 2 Tsunami tanks for much longer. It's going to be 5 tank busters as well joining in on this army, as well as a good number of Tengus, some on the ground and some in the air. Assault Destroyers for the defense, but they're up against Tank Busters, and they're just getting absolutely shredded as Dimon able easily to split away from the Tank Busters, keep them running and into the arms of these Tengus as goodbye Assault Destroyers. Somehow, Vindies buildings always seem to survive with just a little bit of extra health. This Mirage tank is going to get the kill on all of those Tank Busters, and that actually was a defense. Somehow, some way, Vindies actually held that off. His airfield survived earlier. His armor facility survives. His MCV survives. I mean, this guy, with just barely anything out on the field, manages to keep his buildings alive. Goodbye wall segment. Goodbye refinery. Well done by Vindies to sneak just a single Peacekeeper onto the other side of the map and get the kill of that refinery in that way. Tier 3 on the Imperial docks, and maybe we will get to see some Naginata cruisers. Yeah, no, it's Naginata, but that's okay. Katana, Naginata cruisers, and maybe some Shogun battleships. We'll have to see exactly what this Tier 3 docks is for. 45 seconds on the Nanoswarm Hive, and the Psionic Decimator a little over 3 minutes as we count down to the big super weapon show of Dimon. I don't know what that little dip down that little harvester just did, but oh, a King Oni out on the field. Hey now, we are cooking with gas, and the Shogun battleship going to start putting some damage on this aircraft carrier perhaps, but that is now going to be 2 Shogun battleships. Well, of course, a Hydrofoil can even things up and can make things more difficult for Vindies, or for Dimon rather, as Vindies' 1 aircraft carrier will be able to take on 2 Shoguns if one of them gets silenced and they both get EMP'd, which would be quite tragic for Vindies. No, it would be quite tragic for Dimon. Once again, the MCV gets surrounded by Tengus, and there is going to be the Nanoswarm Hive utilized to trap this MCV to stop anything from rescuing it and to stop anything other from this multi-gunner turret to be able to defend it. Goodbye, MCV. The Tengus are here to punish that allied arrogance. Goodbye, multi-gunner turret. You killed very many Tengus in your day, but ultimately it wasn't enough. The aircraft carrier going to put some damage on these Tengus, but it's just not going to be enough as the Shogun battleships clean up the naval forces of Vindies, and that is it for game number 2. The score stands at 1-1. Dimon evening things up with an absolute slugfest there on Battle Base Beta for Game 2 of our Best of 7 series. Let's jump into Game number 3. We have seen long games. We have seen Tier 3. We have seen Tengu spam. And now, we are on Snowplow. Because, of course, it's an allied map, and Vindies, he is feeling it in the south as the blue allies losing 1 match. This is Vindies. And in the north, probably not happy about this map pick, but glad to get it out of the way. As the Yellow Empire, this is Dimon. It's Snowplow. It doesn't mean there's a guarantee of a fast airfield cryocopter rush. It's not a guarantee. One time I did see an allied player who didn't cryo rush on this map. But that was just once, so it can happen a second time. This could be the one. Actually, it looks like he's going Naval Yard. It looks like he's going Riptide, and we could have some shenanigans in here. After he drops off his engineer at the oil derrick, he could be going for a little bit of laser locking love with those. Oh, that's actually going to be double engineer, so he's going double Riptide, or he's going to drive all over the map before he actually goes for the attack. And hey, there's some lovely cliffs on this map, some good high ground that can be abused. And Vindies, he's pretty good with that laser lock micro. He's good at dumping out a couple of units and then using his Riptide to body block and confuse his opponents to really get maximum value out of those Javelin Troopers. The great thing for Dimon is that he sees it coming from a mile away. The burst drone got the exact right read on everything that Vindies is doing. Likewise, the dog of Vindies sees pretty much everything that Dimon is doing. Dimon might be able to sneak something out, but really, in this kind of a situation, it would be pretty unlikely. I love this move from Dimon, cleaning up this bridge over here on the right side, just eliminating that from the equation, and forcing Vindies to take a little bit of a different route. Vindies now going to be going for an airfield near his third refinery location. And this is not an engineer cap for the oil derricks. He is going straight to Crazy Town as these Javelin Troopers and the engineers make a play on the Mecha Bay, make a play on the refinery, and force it to sell off. The Riptides get cleaned up, and well, Vindies is just not stopping. He's pushing now with that MCV. He is heading in there with no cryocopters. It's just going to be Vindicators and Apollos, but these Tengus might just split up, go for the harassment, and that is going to create a very difficult situation for Vindies. Vindies is going to pull something out of nothing. I don't know if he just gave his account details over to Andrew, because this is looking like a nutso game, and this is looking like it's going to turn really weird real quick. One harvester down, double oil derrick under the control of Dimon, and so he's evened up that harvester count in terms of active harvesters. Of course, the refinery is still on the side of Vindies, but he's only got one of them working for him and no oil derricks. His MCV way too far away. He could drop a refinery here to try and reclaim some of that cash and get a better eco underneath him. Also a little bit of a more defensible position with his multi-gunner turret placement way the heck out there. A tank buster and a couple of Imperial Warriors going to try and clean up this allied attack. The Mecha Bay is far enough away that he's got up to tier 2. He can start pumping out choppers, start pumping out tsunami tanks to try and deal with these forces. The dog gets cleaned up, very nicely done there, but the Peacekeeper jumps into that multi-gunner turret, and good use of the units by Vindies. He is going to lose this multi-gunner turret to the tsunami tank, but that is a price to pay for the chaos he is causing inside of the base of Dimon, and barely that tsunami tank does survive. Good cycling by Dimon, really good cycling of units. That tsunami tank, you couldn't have known how close that guy was going to be getting to death. And this harvester, if he forces these Vindicators to waste bombs, it doesn't add a lot of delay to this attack, but it would have added just a bit. That would have been lovely for him to be able to do. One tsunami tank going to be going down, and it looks like this chopper VX, or no, the Defender VX core isn't positioned enough to actually kill off the Vindicators. They just take a bunch of damage, and actually that might mean that this harvester, if it's manually targeted on the weak Vindicator, could potentially get a kill there, but no, it is not. Vindies now going to be trying to pull back. Yeah, his MCV heads back to the south. He's called off the attack. He's going to try and do something else, and Dimon can now take his other main base refinery location and be up at that 3 refinery economy, double oil derrick as well. He's going to be feeling good about that. Man, how much money did Vindies spend in that initial attack with the engineers, with the Javelin Troopers, unable to actually do anything against the forces of Dimon. He caused some chaos, he caused a refinery to be sold off, but he himself was under threat at that same time. Weird games in this series, and I am absolutely loving it. MCV positioned nicely to deploy a refinery extremely quickly, get it online and operational just as soon as can be. 3 refineries already up and running for Vindies, but of course he has not had that double oil derrick working for him the entirety of this game. Little dog heading out for Vindies. He's going for the scout, and now it's going to be Peacekeepers, maybe some Javelin Troopers as well, for the defense. Of course, multi-gunner turret here in the middle of the map, and Dimon, he is not going to sit back on his laurels. Instead of building a refinery, sitting back and trying to macro up a full-sized Tier 2 army, he is going straight for the throat and still delaying his refinery that much more. He's just going Tengus for the follow-up. He's going to try and catch these Vindicators, baits it in, but no, the Vindicators all survive. The Chopper VX is just barely not in good enough numbers to get anything up and to get anything completely destroyed. And, well, that Cryocopter does survive about half health. It's going to have to get pulled off the front line for a couple of moments to heal up before heading back into the front line. Multi-gunner turret goes down. One Apollo steps forward in kind of a curious move. A bit of a mistake there by Vindies, and Dimon make it to claim a Cryocopter as well. No, the Vindicators are now going to be coming in to clean up the Chopper VXs. Only none of them go down, but one Vindicator gets eliminated, and now everything on the deck is under threat as they take back off and they get eliminated by another Chopper VX. And the Tsunami Tank's cleaning up everything on the ground. The Cryocopter pushed away, and Vindies is falling apart on his own map choice on Snowplow of all things. Somehow this one Peacekeeper is going to have to clean up everything that Dimon has, as trying to harass at the same time. Dimon sending a single Tengu to the southernmost refinery and getting a kill on a Harvester while these Tsunami Tanks clean up everything out on the water. And there's a lovely Cryo shot and a lovely Peacekeeper to do a bit of damage to Dimon, but wow, was that too little too late, as in the shortest game of this series, a mere 8 minutes on Snowplow, which started out kind of normal, then it got weird, and then Dimon just crushed it, taking us to a game number 4, which is on Infinity Isle. Hey guys, we had to see it at some point. Aren't you glad it wasn't map number 1, or number 2, or number 3? It is indeed the choice of this player on the left side, rotating his color, making the editing slightly more difficult. As the purple allies, this is Vindies. And on the right side, now leading this series with a magnificent 2-1 score, this is Dimon. Playing that yellow Empire, being consistent, which I always appreciate when I'm making the little scoreboards. It's nice to not have to swap the colors a bunch of times. Vindies showing some good games, but that last one falling down a little bit there. That was perhaps a bit of indecision. I don't know that he was necessarily feeling like going for that kind of weird base push when he started out that game. But I don't know if what his plan with those 2 engineers was from the very beginning. Like, if he really was planning that, that is definitely a risky strategy. That is something that is unlikely to work most of the time. Maybe you get the double sell-off, like you force the sell-off of the Mecha Bay and you force the sell-off of the refinery. Or maybe there was a bit of lag that caused something to happen, but whatever it may be, that was not necessarily a super clean build order, a super clean execution by Vindies of an attempt of a base push on Snowplow. But again, I think he was kind of freestyling there. I think he had a different plan going into the game, and then kind of found himself just freestyling and being in a bad situation and trying to make the best of it. One Imperial Warrior gets cleaned up. Second Vindicator almost out. So a couple more Imperial Warriors will go down. Peacekeeper is going to be pushing forward. No shield cycling from Vindies, so he's going to take some pretty heavy damage from these Imperial Warriors as they now cycle into shields, as the Vindicators are going to clean up the majority of these Imperial Warriors. Ooh, that one Imperial Warrior surviving with just barely any HP at all, and that's so frustrating because the bombs on the Vindicators do like 2/3 damage to the Imperial Warriors, so it's annoying to have to use a bomb for just barely a sliver of health. Once again, Dimon with this infantry push early on. This is just a tough situation for Vindies to deal with. It's not game-ending usually, although if he kills off this airfield, this may actually be game-ending. This is a lot of Imperial Warriors, and 2 bombs per Imperial Warrior is a difficult thing to pull off. Nice bomb splitting there, As, actually, I guess, no, that was normal, but, he did it differently. He did it slightly differently with that Vindicator. Goodbye, airfield. Second airfield going up, and now the Riptide is out, so now Vindies should be able to stabilize. He does not want to have had to rebuild that airfield, but now that he has, he should be able to stabilize. He should be able to get into a better place, and he's going to start by trying to clean up these Imperial warriors that are causing him so much trouble, so much difficulty. Look at that double oil derrick play once again from Dimon, and this tier 2 Mecha Bay, he is just on fire this series. Everything is lining up in his favor. Now, of course, Vindies, he's got that three refinery economy as well. It's a good place to be for allies. If he's got a good defensible position, he plays his cards right, he can definitely still come out ahead in this game. And it may start right here, right now, with the Cryocopter strike against this force. He gets the kill on the Tsunami tank, so because of the investment out on the water, Dimon doesn't have much in terms of anti-air. He went straight into Tier 2. He got the Yari mini-subs at the same time, so he's probably a little bit low on cash, getting the Naval Yard 2 Yari mini-subs at the same time as going Tier 2 on his Mecha Bay. He's got no anti-air. He's forced to sell off his MCV, and he thought he was in a more comfortable position, but that Cryocopter sneaking out by Vindies was the thing that did him in. Inadequate anti-air from Dimon. I did not realize that Vindies had gone up to Tier 2 in that time, but I guess that does make sense for him to go up to Tier 2 to try and get out some Cryocopters and to try and do exactly this. Power plant's going down, no MCV, so the power plants that you get are the ones you see are what you get. Cryocopter does Chopper VX does transform, and there's the Shrink Ray going to be affecting these Chopper VXs on the ground, forcing them to run away, forcing them to try and turn tail and get out of there. The Riptide does go down, and now this Cryocopter may also be eliminated, but boy, has Vindies put Dimon on the back foot with this attack. He's managed to survive, but Vindies is absolutely in so much more control of this game than he was just a minute ago. And again, Vindies doesn't have to end the game right here, right now. He can play defensively. He can try and stretch this game out a little bit here. Oh, a mistake here by Vindies, letting that Vindicator go down. It's going to be tough. Apollo's going down. 2 of them get eliminated, but he trades out all 3 Chopper VXs for it, and oh my gosh, that Vindicator, or that Apollo, almost crashing down onto the Riptide, almost eliminating it. And Dimon must feel bad about losing pretty much his entire Tier 2 army. He is not in a good spot to lose a Tier 2 army. He might be rebuilding his MCV right now, otherwise he's just low on cash, and it's taking him a long time to build whatever. Yeah, he's got only 1 Harvester in this game, going topsy-turvy so quickly, but nice snipe on the Engineer. A great catch there by Dimon. 500 credits down the drain for Vindies. And Vindies, again, playing defensively. As you can see, he's keeping things real tight. He's got this little sliver in the middle of his base. That is his. He doesn't need to step outside of that right now. He can just wait a moment. He can play it calm, play it cool, and work on a longer-term plan. He doesn't have to win the game just this second. Yeah, striking down those refineries, those power plants, absolutely critical for Vindies to still be in this game and to have a shot against Dimon. Those Yari mini-subs, I don't know if that was the right move. It might have been better to get out 2 or 3 Tengus first, or maybe a couple of Defender VX cores, and delay those Yari mini-subs. But they have done good damage. They did clean up that water expansion. Nice draw of the fire using that 1 Tengu to absorb a bunch of damage and then transform onto the ground. The Cryocopter doesn't have a lot to oppose it. The Vindicator going to be coming in, cleans up 1 of the Chopper VXs. The Riptide still standing strong. The Javelin Troopers getting eliminated by the Tengus, but just barely. 1 Javelin Trooper does survive. The Chopper VX goes down. The Shrink Ray is too powerful. Dimon has been defeated, and Vindies evens things up, finding the exact right moment, perhaps a bit of luck with how Dimon played that out, but he did so much damage at a time and in a place that he really shouldn't have been able to do that much damage. Dimon with a huge weakness to that cryocopter, just literally no anti-air because he diversified too far too quickly. Unfortunately for Dimon, falling down after a great opening and just losing that game to Vindies. The score now 2-2 as we head into game number 5, which takes us to the sunny paradise of Cabana Republic, the resort map on the left side as the Orange Allies getting kind of lucky in that last game and pulling out just incredible damage. This is Vindies. And on the right side, you know him, you love him, even though he's not playing Soviets. As the Yellow Empire, this is Dimon. Dimon making a bit of a misstep there, but honestly, maybe, you know, Dimon is a really good player, so he should have been more cautious of the fact that Vindies rebuilt that airfield, got up to tier 2, could have a cryocopter, but like, I definitely understand the oversight that Dimon made in that game. Overlooking that opportunity when you get a kill on the airfield of your opponent that early on with Imperial Warriors, like, you're not thinking the guy has a backup airfield and cryocopters ready to go. You're thinking, oh my gosh, I've just struck down his airfield. He was going fairly fast airfield and I killed it. This guy is on the back foot. I am going to capitalize by pushing him in 2 different directions at once. One with tier 2 on land and one with Yari mini-subs out on the sea. And then he just had a cryocopter, and it's like, oh yeah, I forgot allies can rebuild airfields and also get flying cryocopters to absorb a ton of damage and deal a ton of damage. So I definitely understand the oversight that Dimon made. And honestly, I don't know if it was just like he flubbed, or if it's like, if other top-level players are like, nah, he really should have known better than to do that. That was a little too greedy of a infrastructure investment at that stage. But it does feel very human for Dimon to have done that. Riptide shows up, drops off an engineer, second engineer way up in the north, and that dojo chasing away the engineer of Vindies means that Dimon did not get the cash back on both of those oil derricks. Dimon up to those 3 refineries pretty darn quickly. Vindies, he is walling himself in. He's even walled in a Javelin Trooper. I love that. He's got the Javelin Trooper to keep these Vindicators safe. No tier 2 for this allied player, and I believe from this airfield position, unless his MCV is like right there, I don't think you can quite get the tier 2 to the range over there. You can't quite get it to the airfield over there. Engineer still way out on the water. Looks like the dojo cores have all been cleared up. That dog standing guard near the one on the left side, and that means that no additional oil derricks for Dimon. Always sad for Dimon when he doesn't quite manage to get those 2 oil derricks for himself as Empire. Always trying to get the extra oil derricks. Lots of Tengu's going to be the name of the game for Dimon in this match. Cleaning up 2 Javelin Troopers, 3 and 4, but the Riptides may end up surviving. No, all 3 of the Tengu's are high enough health. Those Javelin Troopers did not do nearly enough damage to those to the Tengu's to clean them up. Vindies takes both of the oil derricks. One of them he just bombed with Vindicators a moment ago, which is kind of curious that he bombed it and then took it over. Third refinery finally up and running for Vindies. Well, Dimon, he's going to try. He's got double dojo coming out again. Potentially spending, you know, another $2,000 to reclaim those oil derricks between the barracks and the engineers. Okay, yeah. I don't think that's the most efficient way to do that. But Vindies, he is human as well. He's not perfect. Dimon needs to clean up this dog in the north. Just stop the scouting. Stop the scouting and stop the dog from killing any engineers. Dojo's going for the capture. Naval Yard up and running, tier 2. And yeah, the airfield is out of range. So second airfield is... Oh, it's not on the way. I would have thought a second airfield was on the way already. you know, cryocopters, all of that kind of stuff. Apollos, one of them does get cleaned up. The Tengu's now going down to the Javelin Trooper and the Apollos, but there's the big transform to go for the harassment of the Harvesters. One Harvester almost certainly is going to be going down. This 3 Tengu attack squad on the right side, able to clean up that Harvester without too much trouble. Meanwhile, the Harvester on the left side does manage to survive, although with not much health. 1 engineer, 1 oil derrick so far. The second engineer almost ready to capture that oil derrick, all while Dimon is attacking Vindies directly, and Vindies is distracted at the same time. Vindies, with 2 assault destroyers on the south side of the map, is going to be putting on his own pressure. And what does Dimon have as a backup? Well, he's got tier 2, but he's got a 4th refinery heading out onto the map. I think this guy was supposed to be heading here, but that is not going to happen. Where are the Chopper VXs? And another Harvester goes down. So 2 Harvesters for 3 or 4 Tengus. It doesn't quite spell victory for Dimon, but killing those Harvesters, taking your opponent down to 1 Harvester, 0 oil derricks, does feel good. It's a nice delay tactic, but that doesn't quite win you the game when you trade out 4 or 5 Tengus for that kind of an engagement. 2 assault destroyers versus 2 tsunami tanks. Not a recipe for success, and I think Vindies is going to try and go for the crush of whatever comes out of this mecha bay. Just immediately crush it with the assault destroyer. There's a nice kill by Vindies. And the MCV now going to try and body block this assault destroyer from being able to crush any more tsunami tanks. At the same time, the tier 2 mecha bay taking so much damage, and the Vindicator even here, the cryo shot firing off and forcing that power plant to be sold off. 1 assault destroyer goes down, and now it's a race against time as to whether or not the other one will be killed off before the mecha bay goes down. 3 tsunami tanks, but just barely not able to do it. No, the hydrofoil is going to save that assault destroyer. Dimon with his tsunami tank on the north side not attacking, he loses the mecha bay. Meanwhile, it's 3 Imperial Warriors. What is even going on? 3 Imperial Warriors. You just had 2 assault destroyers in your face, wrecking your base, and your response is 3 Imperial Warriors. The hydrofoil is going to have to run for the hills, but man, that hydrofoil showing up at the last possible second and allowing Vindies to get the kill on that mecha bay. What a delay on the army and on the production of Dimon. Vindies even sending the dog onto that oil or refinery spot. I didn't realize that that's exactly where he had sent that dog earlier, but now this prospector going to be going for the kill. He gets all 4 Imperial Warriors. $600 down the drain, and the prospector may still get another load of ore before these other Imperial Warriors show up to finish the job. Riptide shows up to protect this prospector, but will it actually be enough? These Imperial Warriors might be able to clean up the prospector. Oh, just barely gets that last load of ore, and you cannot have any less health than that, I think. Cryocopter now going to be defending against these tsunami tanks who have killed the Harvester but aren't leaving. 2 of them now going to be activating the nano deflectors to escape on away from that cryocopter. The other one may unfreeze as the Yari mini-subs skate across the map, and that will do it. That seemed a little premature. Maybe it wasn't. I assume that was Dimon's game. Yeah, so that was game number 5. I guess we're going to game number 6, which takes us to Fire Island. In the south, as the Yellow Empire, this is Dimon. And in the north, as the Orange Allies, this is Vindies. Game number 6 of this series, and I mean, Dimon versus Vindies, you know it's going to be a good series, but what a great showing this has been. A couple of Javelin Troopers going to be pushing away that Dojo Core for now. Going to be going for the kill on the Dojo Core as well. That Engineer just going to kind of wait until it's safe. There's the sell-off. Ooh, the dog gets crushed, and the Imperial Warrior survives, but barely gets killed off by the Javelin Troopers anyways. And that Engineer will jump inside of that oil derrick. Vindies winning the first skirmish of this game, but will he win the war? Imperial Warriors versus Peacekeepers. Dimon is going to be able to take both of these oil derricks, it looks like, as Vindies pulls back and builds an airfield on the south side. It's a good position if you want to expand and then still provide tier status to that airfield. Quick Mecha Bay, but it is going to be Mecha Bay after the MCV move, so not the fastest Mecha Bay possible, but Mecha Bay before third refinery nonetheless. Dimon playing a little bit safer, not going 3 refineries out of the gate and then into some kind of Mecha Bay naval yard double combo, double trouble, whammy bammy. Instead, playing a little bit more straightforward. Also forcing a multi-gunner turret to be dropped on the back end before Vindies rather, heads out to his expansion. 1 Vindicator, 1 Apollo for Vindies. Goodbye, Imperial Warrior. And Dimon still maintaining control of those 2 oil derricks, stopping that Peacekeeper from cleaning up his oil derrick. Vindies, now with the expansion up and running. Is he going to be going straight into Tier 2, or is it going to be a refinery right out of the gate to go for his better eco? A couple of dogs going to be keeping the engineer safe on the north side. And right into Tier 2, pretty much, for Dimon. He's also going to be losing his oil derrick here on the south side of the island. Whole line of Peacekeepers just to blow up that one building. Dimon most likely getting value from those. There's the refinery up and running. Tier 2 could be on the way after that, or just a power plant first, and then Tier 2. So it's a 3 refinery game for both players, but of course Vindies now has that oil derrick as well. He's going to be feeling good about that. Dimon going right for the throat. He is not wanting to let up the pressure. Most players would turn that tsunami tank around. They would head back to base, and they would not try and go for something like this. This tsunami tank is almost certainly going to be going down, but hey, you get the kill on the harvester, and early game tsunami tanks are not necessarily long for this world anyways. But killing off that harvester, forcing the rebuild, and Vindies wasn't necessarily expecting that, so he didn't have the harvester already 99% rebuilt and ready to go. Tier 2 is here for Vindies, so his first cryocopter is most likely on the way. And this is definitely looking like the most normal of all of our games. However, a couple of the other games looked fairly normal at this stage of the game, and then they turned a little bit weird and turned a little bit epic as the game progressed on. We'll have to see if Fire Island follows a similar pattern. Just a dog heading to the very southern tip of the island, and the cryocopter does get spotted by Dimon. He is going to lose a Tengu as well to that Apollo, which is always frustrating, but usually unavoidable. And Dimon now has to start trying to formulate a plan. He is not going any Striker VXs, and by that I mean Defender VXs. He is instead just going to rely on the Strikers. On the Tengus, killing that Apollo, that's nice. What's the rebuild time? This is a little bit of a reset for Vindies, and he's low on cash, so he can't rebuild that Apollo immediately. It's taking a moment as he gets his 4th refinery up and running. He still has control of this oil derrick, but that Apollo just delays that entire attack and pushes Vindies back a little bit. There's the recap of that oil derrick. Another Apollo shows up, but once again it gets eaten alive by Dimon, and Dimon is actually just going to be able to potentially do some big damage. He's going to be stomping all over the infantry. The Chopper VX is surviving for now, and one tsunami tank does get frozen here, but where's the anti-air? Where's the actual forces to do the damage to those cryocopters? The Apollo shows up, it gets chased away, it gets destroyed, and Vindies, he's doing some good damage to the army, but he may be trading out all of his expensive tech units to do it. The cryocopters cycling now away to the north side. All of the ground units, the defenses for these Chopper VXs have been destroyed. They really need to get the value of killing off these cryocopters, but it's just not happening. Dimon is now actually slowly losing his mind. A Tengu swings in from the north side, catches one of the cryocopters as the Chopper VXs try to clean up the Apollos, clean up the Tengus, and clean up the Vindicators rather, but the Tengu just barely survives. Now cycling away to the north side, side, going for the power plant. A great choice there. Low health and a quick thing to kill as one Chopper VX goes down. Then the Apollo immediately lands as if it needs to reload after firing just one bullet, and the Chopper VX will be sacrificed. Those Chopper VXs were in a bad spot anyways. They didn't get the cryocopters, which is unfortunate, but the Tengu did manage to jump on one cryocopter, and now this refinery is completely shut down, not even fully paid for, only 1,500 credits out of that refinery, although that tsunami tank kill does certainly even this score up a little bit. Vindies extremely low on cash, low on numbers of actual refineries that are doing anything. He is not in the position he would like to be. Two harvesters partially built, but not a lot of cash actually coming into the bank. The power plant's also in that low power mode, kind of slowing everything down, and he just rebuilds one of those power plants to get himself back online and operational. This Tengu does barely manage to escape. Is the Vindicator going to come back through and just destroy it? The answer is yes, as Vindies does clean up that Tengu, but Dimon is not letting up the pressure. This is how this guy sometimes is just non-stop aggression. And, well, that is a crazy fast amount of damage for that tsunami tank, considering it is heroic and shrunken down. Not many times do we see a fully heroic tsunami tank shrunk down, firing like that. It was like a machine gun with that tank gun. Just blasting away. The cryocopter gets another shrink off. The Tengu numbers, the Chopper VX numbers are starting to build back up. Vindies still just sitting at that tier 2, probably trying to rebuild his 4th refinery so he can restabilize his eco. Dimon taking away that oil derrick has been such a nice little addition for Dimon and a nice little subtraction from Vindies. Vindies would have had just a little bit of extra cash throughout this entire engagement, this entire rebuilding process of trying to remake almost all of his harvesters, rebuild a refinery, rebuild those power plants. It all would have happened a smidge faster with that oil derrick. So always nice when you can reclaim those oil derricks from your opponents. It doesn't always work out mathematically. It's not always the right move, but in this case, I think it was the smart thing to do. One Tengu gets cleaned up, a second one very low on health. There's the big transform, going to try and kill the Prospector, and these Tengus are going to be cleaned up by the Vindicator, and apparently the crush of that Prospector as well. Multi-gunner turret getting the last couple of kills on those Tengus as the Harvester does go down, and these Chopper VXs trying to escape. One or two of them already went down, which is never a good thing to happen if you are Dimon, but where is Vindies' army? Does he have nothing to actually stop these Chopper VXs and this tsunami if they choose to attack? He does have multi-gunner turrets, and of course those rely on power. This multi-gunner turret is actually going to be winning this fight against this tsunami tank, and Dimon is going to have to pull away. If Vindies had a Vindicator ready to go, he could have actually killed off that tsunami tank, which would have been a nice catch, but it is not meant to be. The Apollos extremely low on health are going to be able to get healed back up, rearmed, refueled, and ready to go. 4th refinery finally up and running. Just a moment ago, it got up and running for Dimon. He's going to drop another power plant. And what was that heading off to the south side? It is going to be a docks core, so he's going to try and hide something in the corner. A sneaky assault destroyer around the back door. This could be a great move by Vindies. We've seen so many of these backdoor attacks, so many of these sneaky moves from both players throughout the entirety of this series, and the assault destroyer going for the kill and the crush of those harvesters way down in the south is just another thing on the list of great backdoor attacks that these two players have been pulling off over the course of this series. When will Dimon realize it? He's just called off this attack, so he's actually going to have units in the neighborhood to respond to this. A couple of Chopper VXs transform and head south, and head south, and head south. Chopper VXs transform and head south. The Apollos show up to try and put the pressure on. They're distracting Vindies. They're distracting Dimon, rather, from the real attack, which is that assault destroyer down there. Cryo Blast fires off, cleans up that refinery as well, and the oil there are going to be getting nuked by that Javelin Trooper. Goodbye, assault destroyer. And killing off one Harvester, not necessarily worth it, but one Harvester and all the other damage that Vindies has just done is worth it. There's the Yari Minisubs coming in, a second one joining the first to put some pressure on this Harvester. And of course, this does start to key in Vindies that there is a naval yard out there somewhere. But Dimon, he's not letting up. Once again, the name of the game, attack in one place, attack in a second place, almost at the exact same time. Tsunami tanks, perhaps? No, it's going to be Tengus swinging out over the water. The Tsunami tanks dealing with the refinery on land, but these multi-gunner turrets might actually be too much defense with the infantry for Dimon to really do anything to this base. He killed off one Harvester, but how much stuff is he going to trade out for it? Apparently nothing, as most of his units do manage to split apart and escape. Refinery about to come back online. He has it rallied the wrong way, but he gets ahead of it. He corrects its course, and he sends it back to the right spot. No more Yari Minisubs. The attack was attempted, but it was not enough. It did not actually turn out the way that Dimon wanted. Poor Dimon, trying 1,000 things to see what sticks, and sometimes none of it really works. That last assault that he just tried, Yari Minisubs going to waste. Cryocopters giving so much value for Vindies. And then the attack on land, claiming one Harvester, but not much more than that. These multi-gunner turrets that have been placed all throughout Vindies' base through this game, they're really helping out later and later. Here's the big attack coming in from Dimon. He's going to try and piecemeal this army apart. The assault destroyer is now going to be showing up. Of course, the Apollos are in the sky. Tank Buster Surprise going to be adding a lot of DPS to this army. In just a couple of moments, they're going to be able to shred those assault destroyers, but will they simply be crushed? The answer is yes. 2 of them going down very quickly, and a cryo blast going to be firing off, trapping how many tanks? Just 1, just 2, as the assault destroyer goes for the crush on number 3 and maybe number 4 as well. The Tank Buster's getting good damage, but the assault destroyer still stands. The Tsunami tanks coming off of cooldown. They're going to surround the assault destroyer and destroy it. Both of the frozen Tsunami tanks have survived for now, and the Tank Buster absorbing so much damage from that multi-gunner turret. Bullets are free, but units are not, as Vindies loses unit after unit on the ground. Does he have anything left to stand against the ground army of Dimon? The answer might be no. Or is he going to have to retreat out to the water? Where are his cryocopters? Where is the rest of his army? His Apollos are there. His cryocopters don't have anything to support them. I don't actually know where they ended up. Must have gotten cleaned up somewhere else. The Apollo's now going to try and shut down the Chopper VXs. There are 3 Tangus still here, but the Tsunami tanks don't have much of an answer on the ground. They're now going to be tangoing with this multi-gunner turret. A second multi-gunner turret going to be showing up. There's the Cryocopter, but the Tangus clean it up, no problem. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Goodbye, Mr. Cryocopter. Good night, perhaps, to Vindies' power plants, as these guys are getting tucked in 6 feet under the ground. Apollos raining down from the sky as Tsunami tanks continue to shred absolutely everything on the ground. Double heroic Tsunami tank absolutely shredding the base of Vindies. Another multi-gunner turret is no match for 4 Tsunami tanks as one of them goes down. Apparently that one multi-gunner turret was a match for one of those Tsunami tanks, but not the other 4. The point defense drones adding even more survivability to this army, and yet another multi-gunner turret is going to be attempted, and that refinery being cleaned up, definitely helping out in the power management aspect of Vindies' life. Another Tsunami tank barely surviving those nano deflectors, so powerful. The Chopper VX on the ground, destroying the Apollos. Vindies falling apart left, right, and center, and even more Tangus cycling through to harass that Harvester in the middle of the map, and Vindies, this might be it. An absolute miracle would be needed to pull back from this kind of a position. So much damage done by Dimon, and Vindies drops out of game number 6. Dimon takes the February Ladder Wars Finals with a score of 4-2 and some absolutely phenomenal matches here in Red Alert 3. Action-packed from beginning to end, constant chaos, constant slugfest from these guys, and Dimon just simply outpacing Vindies in the economy front almost every minute of this game. Look at that, right at about 3 minutes, they diverge, and they pretty much never meet again. Vindies putting up a good fight throughout this series, so showing some great games and some great strategies, but in the end, it is Dimon who stands strong with the power of the Empire. That will do it for this game, for this series. Thank you all very much for watching. Excuse me. I hope you enjoyed it. And this is Sybert, signing out.